Brodes Media.
I'm sucked right back in. I'm a pathetic piece of shit. But here we are. Kelly Oubre back in action. Andre Drummond here. Eric Gordon, savvy veteran, who I trust if the ball swings his way. I didn't trust Buddy Hield. That dude did not know what playoff ball was going to be like. And the second he finally witnessed it and experienced it, fucking crumbled. That won't happen with Eric Gordon. So you got that. You got Maxey getting his bag, and you kept assets by not having to trade for a Jimmy Butler, not having to trade for a Brandon Ingram. So now Daryl Morey has even more assets to his name. For whatever that's worth. Now, all jokes aside here, how do I feel? I'm going with the mentality of, so you're telling me there's a chance. They still have a lot to prove to me. But based off of the current state of free agency and knowing what was possible this offseason, they're doing essentially as best as they could. There's not much more that they can do than what Daryl Morey is doing. Now, there's still room to improve. There's still room to make adds to this roster. But just in regards to having majority of the meat and potatoes done, I don't know what else I could have demanded or expected. They got their guy. They added a wing to a guard and a center. So naturally, it's a solid fit. And while he's signed here until he's 38 years old, and there may be some concern on how his final year of the deal is, first off, you only need one of those years to make it worth it. You don't need him to be elite for 4 seasons to make this result in a championship. You need it to be a good fit and good chemistry so collectively as a unit, they can tear down that second round issue and get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's not the goal, but you have to hit that first prior to getting to the NBA Finals run. And are they better than Boston? I can't sit here today and tell you that they're better than the champion of last season that has a Drew Holiday, a Kristaps Porzingis, a Brown who already destroyed the dragon or slayed the dragon and got the Larry O'Brien in his arms, a finals MVP on his wall. Like, what do you want me to do? No, I can't tell you they're better than Boston. Are they better than Milwaukee? I don't know. If they are healthy, I don't know what Milwaukee is healthy. I don't know what the Sixers are healthy either. Paul George played 74 games last season, so while there were issues with him staying upright throughout particular times in his career, 74 games, I'd sign on the dotted lines for that right now. 41% clip from 3, 22 points per game. No matter how you feel about if he comes up small in the playoffs or this and that, which I always find funny because everyone hasn't shown up big in the playoffs to start. You never have the moment until you have the moment. And I do believe that Paul George has had moments in the playoffs. He's also failed, but he's also had moments. Maybe they were a ways away ago. Maybe they were a long time ago. Maybe they were in Indiana. Maybe it wasn't particularly last season. But there's a big difference between having Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey on your team and then having to be the guy or having to play a bigger role. Would I want Paul George to be the face of my franchise, number one, ball in his hands and go win me a title? No. Would I want him to be a good collective weapon in a world where you have Embiid getting double-teamed constantly? Because if not, he's going to eat you alive. Tyrese Maxey with his speed that can create so much space for your wings and for your Paul George's, Eric Gordon's of the world, because you got to realize that he's going to blow by it. And if he doesn't find a way to pass it to the perimeter for an open look, he's going to toast you with his speed and lay it in for 2 off the glass, maybe even earn some free throws this year and get some respect from the damn refs and the damn whistles to make it a three-point play. So he doesn't need to be, let's go, Paul George, go take us to title land by yourself. You need him to be a good complementary star in the mix of three stars. That's a different philosophy. And with Kawhi and with James Harden, it didn't work. Injuries took the toll on that team. The Kawhi Leonard experience has always been a bit wonky. I can't apply that to Kawhi and not apply that to Joel Embiid. But, I've seen Joel Embiid with half a face and half a leg give you 50 and also give you 40 in a closeout game with your season on the line. So even when Joel Embiid is banged up, he's still giving you insane amount of production. Not just good production, insane amount of production. And Paul George can help you out with size and defense on the wing. He's not the same defender he once was, but he's no stiff either. At this age, he can still hold his own and not get pushed around like a rag doll and thrown around. So he still gives you that, and you need help with size, and you need help defending that area of the floor with Joel Embiid as the anchor. Yeah, we have small guards. Right now, Jared McCain, I don't know exactly what his role is going to be, but he's still here. I thought maybe he'd be in a trade package, this and that. He's still here as a 6'2" guard with Maxey, 6-foot guard. These guys are small. So if they're out there, Paul George has some size, Embiid with the anchor. For whatever it's worth, that's there. Andre Drummond with the toughness and the rebounding, that's there. The Knicks killed you on the glass last season. The only thing, though, that makes me rebuttal that point about Andre Drummond and his clear and obvious trait of eating up on the glass is him and Joel Embiid are not going to be spending much time together on the floor in the playoffs. Embiid's going to be playing 40-something minutes a night. Andre Drummond for 6, 7, 8 minutes of playoff basketball. Wow, don't get me wrong. Those 6, 7, 8 minutes can swing a game. Joel Embiid leaves the floor, they're minus 85,000. When Joel Embiid is on the floor, they're plus 75,000. So yes, those minutes are extremely important. It's not as if the impact of Andre Drummond in a series against the Knicks is going to be where he's on the floor for 40 minutes and he's just destroying the opponent on the glass. It's not going to happen. I actually had one caller last night say he wants to have Joel Embiid play the 4 and you change your offensive philosophy so Andre Drummond can be that dominant force on the glass. I said, hold on a second. Dude, you don't bring in Andre Drummond and then change the way Joel Embiid plays, operating from the nail, being the anchor on the defensive side in the paint and bringing his you don't change Joel Embiid because Andre Drummond. Please. Let's use the brain cells a little bit. Would I have had any interest in Klay Thompson? Yeah, I would have if you couldn't get Paul George. Paul George made the most sense when everything settled down, just due to the fact that if he hit free agency, of course, he had to opt out and all of that. And there was the report that Golden State wanted to have a sign and trade occur, but the Clippers didn't want anything to do with giving him over to the Golden State Warriors and blah, blah, blah. I don't know how much is real, how much is not. There is so much BS that goes down over 72 hours with Woj and Shams. Remember, it was a week ago that it was reported the Sixers are apparently out on Paul George and they don't want anything to do with them and they're moving on. No, they're not. They're trying to play a leverage game. They're trying to send and leak information publicly for perception. Paul George was always number one in their crosshairs of let's go get him. He was always the emphasis. He was always the guy that Daryl Morey wanted to get. Paul George was going to be a Sixer. So as much as this has been reported, that has been reported, this and that, come on. A week ago, they were done with it, and they were ready to move on to the next best thing. But that was never the case. The eye was always on the prize. And credit to Daryl Morey because, well, if he wants someone, he goes and gets somebody. And for the people that despise the move, I don't know if this is going to be good enough. And I lean towards it's not, because there is still some scar tissue left around my entire body from the Sixers playoff seasons and the postseason failures and all that stuff. But reality is they had to do this. They had to do this because there's nothing else to do that would satisfy you if you are a hater of this. Like, I don't know what else was potentially available. Lauri Markkanen, for example. I've heard Markkanen forever now. Go get Markkanen, go get Markkanen. Even if you traded to go get Markkanen, who's a good player, fun player, exciting player, I wouldn't have been mad. I prefer the route that they went here. Then, if they swung and they missed, and Paul George wanted to stay with Los Angeles, then fine. Talk me into Clay, talk me into Markkanen trade, talk me into Jimmy Butler, whatever, because you have to try and salvage this Joel Embiid run. This is probably the last attempt. This is probably just because we are so tied down to the losses year in and year out, and it runs through our bloodstream. But I'm just not going to jump to the conclusion that they can have the best big three, or they do now have the best big three, and they could take the Celtics in a series. I'm not jumping to that extreme. Is it possible? Sure. No doubt. And this is a Joel Embiid thing. When you have Joel Embiid, everything is possible. Everything is potentially there. You absolutely have a chance when you have one of the best skilled players in the entire NBA. Embiid's greatness and his force and him being a juggernaut is always going to give you that opportunity to be right there. That's why you have to try and salvage the experience, because his presence starts it all. And it wouldn't surprise me if his MVP-like insane tear can bring you to the promised land at any particular time. That's what great athletes do, and that's why Embiid is super special. It's in him. It's just, can we make it all work together?